What's up, everyone? We're going to be going through the best NBA player props on Prizepicks today. Now, I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 21 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. Now, a lot of you comment wanting to see how many I got wrong, and I thought I'd show you in today's video. We only got 2 picks wrong and got 21 right, which is a 95% win rate. Yes, guys, you heard that right. 95% win rate. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get a 95% win rate and get 21 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon. Should be a link down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure you join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $2,500 just yesterday. Another member who won $235 for the 5th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to Justin Lott B1B, said bro you are the GOAT, so shouts out to him. Shouts out to Ricardo Gioza 2981 who said let's go, let's cash out today, and shouts out to Cash Gaming 34 who spammed up the emoji. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick. When it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to be talking about is none other than Myles Turner, and this one is for 6.5 rebounds, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at Myles Turner, we actually have seen him go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now looking at those 5 games, we definitely have seen some interesting, stats and matchups. We see on May 7th, facing off against Cleveland, where he had 8 rebounds there. Then on May 10th, faced off against Cleveland again, where he had 3 rebounds in that matchup. May 12th, faced off against Cleveland, where he had 7 rebounds. Then had 7 rebounds against them on May 14th. And then in game 1 against New York Knicks, where they did come back from an overtime, he actually did have 5 rebounds in that matchup. Now looking at, Myles Turner, they do face off against New York Knicks in this next matchup. Obviously, this is game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, just taking a look at where both of these teams actually did stand, we did see Myles Turner and the Indiana Pacers come in at the 4th spot with a 50-32 record. That is 61% win percentage during the regular season, which is great to see. And on top of that, they have had a very tough road to the Eastern Conference Finals. So they did take on the Milwaukee Bucks, who were ranked the 5th seed, so just one below them, were able to knock them out. And then they had to knock out the number 1 seed, Cleveland Cavaliers, and did it in a very timely fashion. On the other side of the table, you do see New York Knicks coming in with the Eastern Conference Finals as well. Now, they do rank 3rd in the Eastern Conference, so they do rank higher, which means they do have, the home court advantage throughout this series. But they do have a record of 51-31 with a 62.2% win percentage, which, is also great to see because, their path to the Eastern Conference Finals was also, very tough. They faced off against Detroit Pistons, who were only ranked 6th, but a very tough team. And on top of that, in the second round, actually knocked down the reigning champs, the Boston Celtics, who were actually the 2nd seed at the time. So, both these teams have earned their stripes getting to this point. They've done their tough battles throughout the round 1 and round 2. Now they're in the Eastern Conference. Now, Indiana do actually, are up 1 game in the series. They did come back from a great win, overtime win as well at that. And now they face off against the Knicks again in game 2. But looking at the Knicks, we do know that New York Knicks do rank 2nd when it comes to rebounds allowed. That's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. New York Knicks have always been a very good rebounding team. And for someone like Myles Turner, we definitely saw in that game 1 that his usage rate definitely wasn't really there in that first game. A big reason being for it is due to the fact that New York Knicks' sort of defensive strategies do actually lead to Myles Turner not really getting enough looks at rebounding. So we are expecting that similar situation coming into this next game. No doubt about it. So, for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, Myles Turner only, has had 5 rebounds in that most recent game, but he also only averages, 6, in his last 5 games. So he actually only averaged 6, which is, significantly below his line as well. Now, looking at actually Myles Turner against Knicks throughout the regular season, we actually have seen them played quite a few times. We saw them face off against each other in October of the 25th of October at that, and he actually had 7 rebounds in that matchup, so did pretty decent there. Then on the 10th of November, faced off again where he had 6 rebounds in that matchup there. So, we definitely saw him do, under on one and then over on the other, and for that reason, we still do like the under for this situation here. Even though he did go on the over in that first game, it wasn't really a convincing over to us. We still do like the under due to the fact that Myles Turner usage rate has not really been there, just throughout this series and also throughout this playoff. So we definitely see someone, like Myles Turner going on the under in this situation here, and we definitely see him continuing to do other things out there on the floor, whether it's scoring or even dishing out assists. But when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well, so that works out in our favor there. So for that reason, Myles Turner 6.5 rebounds for less I think is a fantastic pick. So getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about none other than Mikal Bridges. So as you all know, Mikal Bridges, great player from none other than the New York Knicks. And this one's a great one because this is actually for 16.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Mikal Bridges, we've actually seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, he has actually gone on the under in 3 out of the last 5, and his average over the last 5 is also 16.4, which is, somewhat below this line. So just slightly under. But looking at those 5 games, we see on May 11th, faced off against Boston, where he had 12 points in that matchup. Then on May 13th, faced off against Boston again, where he had 23 points. May 15th had 9 points. Then May 17 actually had 22 points. And then on May 22nd in game 1 against Indiana, we actually saw Mikal Bridges, go on the under and only have 16 points there. So, just under the line. Now, when we look at someone like Mikal Bridges, we do very much like the under for this matchup as well. New York Knicks versus Indiana. Now, looking at Indiana Pacers, we do actually see that Indiana Pacers do rank 17th when it comes to points allowed. Now, the reason why we still do like the under for this situation here is due to the fact that when we look at Indiana, we actually do see that they do a fantastic job at restricting points to the small forward position. And for that reason, we definitely see someone like Mikal Bridges going on the under here. Now, Mikal is a great player, do not get me wrong, but we definitely have seen his usage rate be a little bit lower in that, Indiana game 1 that we were expecting. And that's due to the fact that it does seem that Knicks' strategy is to focus in, really hone in on stars, whether that's, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, to do a lot more of the scoring. And Mikal Bridges has definitely taken a little bit of a backseat when it comes to it. Now, the fact that Pacers also do rank very well when it comes to restricting points, I as well to the small forward position, we definitely think plays a huge factor there. And that's a big reason why we do like the under for this one. We have seen Pacers defense. Yes, they do focus in on stars, but what we also have seen them do is just really do a great job at actually restricting scoring. So although even in the regular season, we actually did see them rank 17th, when it comes to the playoffs, in general, we actually have seen them do a much better job defensively. I don't really know what they changed, but when it comes to their strategies, it's definitely been very good, and they've actually gone up defensive rating wise during the playoffs compared to what we usually expect from them, or what we did see from them during the regular season. So Pacers have definitely turned it on this year. That's why they are in the Eastern Conference, and I think not many people did think they were going to get this far. So for that reason, we do very much like the under, and think defense is definitely going to be hard for someone like Bridges to stop. Now, when we look at Mikal against actually Indiana during the regular season, we definitely saw some interesting stat lines there. We saw them face off against each other on October 25th. In that matchup, we actually saw him have 21 points. So he did actually, go on the over there. But then moving on from that, we saw them face off against each other on November 10th, and he had 8 points in that matchup. Then on top of that, also had another matchup against each other on 11th of February, where he actually had 6 points in that matchup. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. He did go on the under in 2 out of those 3 games, and that's a big reason why we do like the under for this one. So for that reason, we do very much like the under. This one's just kind of a no-brainer to us. All signs really do point towards the under, and when we also look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well. So for that reason, Mikal Bridges, 16.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So getting to the next player, we're going to be talking about none other than Andrew Nembhard. So as you all know, guys, there is only one NBA game for today. You know, we are down to the final 4 teams, so there isn't that many games. So all of these, you know, picks are from the same matchup. But this one is a great one because this one is actually for Andrew Nembhard. Now, Nembhard had a great, you know, game 1, but this one is actually for assists, for 5 assists at that. And this one is for less. Now, getting into this pick, we actually have seen Andrew Nembhard go on the under in actually 2 out of the last 5 games. Now, this one's an interesting one to us. We actually did see Andrew Nembhard do a great job, you know, in this series and also in his last playoff runs. But looking at him, we actually see that on May 7th, faced off against Cleveland, where he had 13 assists there. Then we actually saw on May 10th, had 4 assists against Cleveland. May 12th against Cleveland, had 7. Then on May 14th, had 6 assists there, and then May 22nd had 4 assists against the New York Knicks in that first game. So we actually have seen Andrew Nembhard go on the under, like I mentioned, in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now his average over the last 5 is actually 6.8, so slightly above this line. But you do have to remember, he did have a game on May 7th against Cleveland where he had 13 assists, and that was a massive outlier game. And I think that it has brought this line a little bit too high, that now there's a lot more value actually to go on the under. And to explain the reason why, obviously Indiana do face off against New York Knicks, as we know. Now, just to, you know, reiterate or remind you, Knicks did come in at the 3rd spot with a 51-31 record, while Pacers had the 4th spot with a 50-32 record. So, very close in ranking. But New York Knicks are a great defensive team. What we actually have seen is that New York Knicks do actually rank 7th when it comes to assists allowed. So, they actually do a fantastic job at actually slowing down, you know, players in general, due to the fact that Knicks do like to play with a slower pace type game, and that definitely does have a huge effect, no doubt about it. Now, looking at someone like Andrew Nembhard as well, a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here is due to the fact that when we look at, you know, Nembhard's position, he tends to play that small forward position. What we have seen is that New York Knicks actually do a fantastic job at restricting assists and also points and rebounds to the, you know, actual small forward position. But we are focused a lot on the small forward and the assist category for this one, due to the fact that, you know, Andrew Nembhard is that position. But obviously, we do know Knicks have so many great defenders in their team, whether that's Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, you know, even McBride, all great defenders, all great on-ball defenders, and we definitely see that restricting Andrew in this matchup. Now, on top of that, Andrew, although he does have a great role for this team, it's definitely not a massive playmaking role. We all know Tyrese handles the playmaking for this team, and that's why we definitely see someone like Andrew Nembhard going on the under in this situation here. Now, looking at Nembhard actually against, you know, Knicks during the regular season, we definitely saw something pretty interesting. Now, we saw them face off the first time on the actual 25th of October, and in that matchup, we actually saw him only have 2 assists there, so did go significantly under there. Then on the next matchup where they faced off against each other on the 11th of February, same result where he only had 2 assists in that matchup as well. So those are 2 games, not almost all the games that he actually did play against Knicks, we actually saw him go on the under an assist. That's a big reason why we do like the assist for this situation as well. So all signs point towards the under for this one. The bookies also agree with us. Bookies have him favored for the under as well, and that's why we are sticking to the under here. So Andrew Nembhard, 5 assists for less, I think is a great pick. All right, so as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but Prizepicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Pascal Siakam. Now, as you all know, Pascal is a great player for none other than the Indiana Pacers, and he has done a fantastic job all season because he actually averaged 20.2 points, 6.9 rebounds, 3.4 assists, while also shooting 51.9% from the field. So he did a fantastic job there. We actually saw him rank 33rd in points, 32nd in rebounds, and 76th in assists, while also ranking 23rd in field goal percentage. So he did a great job there, ranking actually in the top 100 in all 4 categories. So I thought that was a great season for Pascal. And when we look at Siakam, we do see Pacers had themselves a great regular season because we did see Indiana Pacers did come in at the 4th spot in the Eastern Conference with a record of 50-32. Now, when we look on the other side, we also do see that they face off against the New York Knicks. And just to reiterate again, they did rank 3rd with a 51-31 record as well. Now, we both know how tough both of these teams have fought to get into this position of being in the Eastern Conference Finals. We do know that Knicks had to go through a very tough battle against Detroit Pistons. After that, they actually faced off against a really, really tough Boston Celtics team. And then on the other side of the table, you also saw Pacers do a great job against the Milwaukee Bucks, were able to take them out and also knocked out the actual, Eastern Conference leaders, which were the Cleveland Cavaliers, who did rank very, well, not just in the Eastern Conference, but also came in 2nd out of all 30 teams in the NBA. So, Pacers and Knicks both had very, very tough matchups, especially in that 2nd round. And now they both have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, looking at this matchup, we do know Indiana do lead the series 1-0. So there's definitely a lot of, I would say momentum in the Pacers' way. But when we look at the matchup, we do know that this game is going to be playing at Madison Square Garden. So Knicks do have the advantage, or, the home court advantage at that. Now, looking at that, first game, we will touch on it, more specifically in just a bit. But we do know Indiana did win that matchup, 138-135, an OT thriller. They did a great job there. But looking at New York Knicks, we do see that the New York Knicks, when it comes to points allowed, they did actually rank 9th. And then when we look at rebounds allowed, we also do see that Knicks rank 7th, and then rebounds allowed, we also did see the Knicks rank 2nd. So they rank very, very high in all 3 categories. Now, when it comes to someone like Pascal Siakam, we do actually like the under for this situation here for all 3 departments. Now, when we look at New York Knicks, they are just a great defensive team, and we definitely seen that happen, especially in, that first game, as they did play great defense overall and really slowed down the pace for this Pacers matchup. Now, when we look at New York Knicks, we do actually see they do a fantastic job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the power forward position. That's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. Although Pascal is a great player, we do know he is a power forward. Knicks do a great job against power forwards, and we definitely see someone like Siakam struggling in this situation, as Knicks defense all year has really been very, very well. And that definitely does show in the stat sheets like I just mentioned. Now, looking at Pascal over the last 5 games, we actually seen him play pretty well in some and then not so well in others. We saw in game 2 against Cleveland where they won 120-119. He actually had 12 points, 4 assists, and 6 rebounds in that matchup, which I thought was fantastic. After that, in game 3, we actually saw him do a pretty good job as he had 18 points, 3 assists, and 4 rebounds, and with a 126-104 victory. Then game 4 also had a win in that matchup, 129-109, with a 21 points, 3 assists, and 6 rebounds there. So we actually saw in game 5 him score, 21 points, 5 assists, 8 rebounds, and also won 114-105. So they had a great game there. Then in game 1 against the New York Knicks, we saw them, like I mentioned, had an OT thriller, won 138-135, and he had 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in that first matchup. So he did go on the under in points and rebounds, went higher in a little bit of that assist category, but a big also reason for this is due to the fact that they did have overtime as well. So, Pascal ended up playing 43 minutes, during that game, but the fact that he did still go on the under in 2 out of the last 3 is a telltale sign to us of what we are expecting in this second game. Now, obviously, looking at Pascal as well, we do also notice that, his usage rate in that game wasn't also the highest. Not only is it due to the fact that Knicks are a great defensive team, but the type of defensive strategies that they have been throwing at Indiana Pacers actually doesn't see Pascal have too many touches at looking to score. They are looking to try to get the ball out of Pascal's hands, let other players, do more of the work. And for that reason, we definitely see that playing a huge factor here. So, for that reason, coming into Madison Square Garden for Pascal, we do see him going on the under in this one. I wouldn't really need to focus on any one of those categories. I think he has a capability in all three to definitely go on the under, but just keep an eye out for the line. Like I always mentioned, if the line is too close to his averages, then definitely look to go on the under. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Myles McBride. So as you all know, Myles McBride, great player who actually has, done very well so far this season, because he actually averaged 9.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, 2.9 assists, while also shooting 40.6% from the field. So he's done a great job during the regular season. He's definitely been a big role player for the New York Knicks, even though, he isn't putting MVP type numbers. He actually ranked 137th in points, 150th plus in rebounds, and then 84th in assists, which I thought was fantastic there. Now, looking at the New York Knicks, we do also know that the New York Knicks face off against the Pacers. Now, obviously, we do know where they rank, but just quickly reiterate, Knicks ranked 3rd, Pacers ranked 4th, so Knicks do have the home court advantage throughout this whole series. They did have a bit of a blunder in game 1 where Indiana were able to steal away that win, but we are expecting them to answer back coming into this game. Now, looking at someone like McBride, we actually do see him playing some, notable minutes in this matchup. And looking at the Pacers, like we've mentioned before, we do see the Pacers ranked 17th in points allowed. When it comes to assists allowed, we see that the Pacers do rank 12th, and then rebounds allowed, we also do see that the Pacers ranked 22nd. So they rank very, poor in all three of those categories. A little bit higher in some, but still very average. And however, for that reason, we still do like the under for this situation here. Now, a big reason being for this is due to the fact that New York Knicks have a lot of high, usage rate type players in this team. Whether it's Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, even Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Myles McBride, when he is out there on the floor, he only gets a couple of opportunities, not enough to really see him go on the over in any sort of these categories, and he tends to be more of a player that just plays his minutes, plays defense, and lets the others do more of the stat sheet stuffing. So we definitely have seen that in game 1, and it's definitely been, I would say, New York Knicks' strategy throughout some great matchups. We definitely have seen a usage rate be very big for players like Brunson, or even at times almost all offense runs through Brunson in that, third quarter at times. And we are expecting a similar situation, especially since they are down in the series 1-0. So, we are expecting them to really come out, give it their all, but also because of that, we may see McBride not get the same amount of usage rate out there and play more of a role-playing type position for this team. So for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for the under for this situation for Myles McBride. I don't really see any need to focus on, one of those stats. I think he has a capability to definitely go on the under in either one of them, but I definitely would keep an eye out for that for sure. But looking at also Myles McBride over the last 5 games, we definitely have seen him put together some great matchups, but we did see in game 3 against Boston where they did lose 115-93. He actually had 5 points, 1 rebound, and 0 assists in that matchup. Now moving on from that, in game 4 where they won 121-113, had 6 points, 0 assists, and 6 rebounds there. Then in game 5, in a 127-102 win, had 11 points, 3 assists, and 0 rebounds there. Then game 6, 119-81 victory, where he had 10 points, 1 assist, and 2 rebounds there. And then on top of that, game 1, 138-135 loss in OT against Indiana Pacers. We had 9 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist there. So a lot of the games we did see him go under on his line. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. When it comes to someone like Myles McBride as well, a big reason for this, as on top of everything else, is due to the fact that when we look at the Knicks and Pacers matchup, a lot of people really did think that Pacers Pacers were actually going to push the pace, but we have actually seen the pace be, somewhat slow, somewhat more of Knicks pace rather than Pacers. So it has actually worked out, somewhat in their favor, but a slower game means less opportunities, and less opportunities for someone like Miles McBride, who already doesn't have a lot of opportunities, is a big reason why we do like the under for this one. So, for that reason, we do very much like the under, for this situation here for Miles McBride. Keep an eye out for the line. Like I always mentioned, if the line is too close to his averages, then definitely look to go on the under. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Obi Toppin. So Obi Toppin, as we all know, fantastic player for Indiana Pacers. Now, he did a fantastic job during the regular season because we actually saw Obi Toppin, average 10.5 points, 4 rebounds, 1.6 assists, while also shooting 52.9% from the field. So he's done a great job there. We actually saw him rank 114th in points, 110th in rebounds, 150th plus in assists, 16th, and also in field goal percentage. So he definitely did a great job in that matchup. Now, looking at someone like Obi Toppin, we definitely seen him be an integral part to this team during not just this series, but also throughout the playoffs. Now, like we mentioned, Pacers are up 1-0 in the series, and they have, faced off against some tough battles when it comes to Indiana to get to this Eastern Conference Finals. But looking at New York Knicks, just to reiterate again, Knicks do actually rank 9th in points allowed. Also, when it comes to assists allowed, are ranked 7th, and then rebounds allowed, they do rank 2nd. And for that reason, we still do like the under for this situation here. Now, when it comes to Obi Toppin, however, I would definitely focus a little bit more on points than anything. A big reason being for this is that when it actually comes to, the power forward position, especially for the second unit, we actually do see that New York Knicks actually do a pretty poor job at the other categories at restricting them from the second unit. So, the only great category that they do a great job defensively is actually points. So rebounds I would stay away from, and also assists. Strictly focus in on points, especially for someone like Obi Toppin, who doesn't have that high of a usage rate in the points department and tends to be more of a rim running type big, for this Indiana team. So, his scoring is very much, I would say, unintentional. And what I really do mean by that is that when Obi Toppin is out there, he usually does get dish offs, maybe a great opportunity to get a quick layup in, but it's never really him having an isolation and being able to go to work in the paint or anything of that nature. So, because of that, we still do like the under for this situation here. But looking at his matchups over the last 5 games, we saw him play some pretty integral minutes against Cleveland in game 2, 120-119 victory, where he actually had 7 points, 1 assist, and 2 rebounds there. Then moving on from that, in game 3, had 5 points, 5 assists, and 2 rebounds in game 3 with a 126-104 loss. Game 4 had a 129-109 victory with 20 points, 2 assists, and 5 rebounds there. Then in Game 5 had 5 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds with a 114-105 victory. And then a 138-135 victory in overtime with 8 points, 10 rebounds, and 0 assists. So we definitely have seen him do a fantastic job there. When it comes to Obi Toppin, he did have himself a pretty decent rebounding game in that Knicks matchup, and that's already a sign for us why we are only strictly focusing on points when it comes to him going on the under. So we are expecting that situation coming into this next one. So when we look at Obi Toppin, Indiana Pacers, focusing on points, but keep an eye out for the points line. If it is too close to his averages, then definitely look to go on the under.